and welcome back to Inside the Storm. This is your podcast about everything Newport Storm. I'm joined today by a very, very special guest. Melissa, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Look, before we kind of jump into everything, give us a little bit of an introduction about you, what you do, your kind of role in the community. Tell the audience about you.
Sure. So my name's Melissa Horne and I am the state member for Williamstown, which covers where Newport Storm is. I've been a passionate supporter of the club over a number of years, and it's been really good to be able to secure some much needed funding for this club. In fact, in last year's budget, we got $200,000 for the club to upgrade lighting and upgrade fencing, because there's such growth here that we need to be able to, the state and local government and the sporting club work together to really improve the facilities here.
Sure. I mean, we've seen this year how it's kind of, everything has just exploded in terms of growth and the success of the club. I mean, it's such a rapid rise, I guess. And
it's amazing, and it wouldn't happen. Like, I think community sport is so important for keeping communities active and and that social cohesions too. So to be able to get in there and support things that this club is doing is really important to me.
Sure.
It's one of the things that I love about my job as a local member of Parliament, and to go into Parliament and to be able to talk to other ministers about things that are happening in my community and things that are important to my community, to go in and fight for those funding dollars is terrific.
For you personally, what kind of role has sport played for you in your upbringing and growing up locally here?
So I grew up in the Hunter Valley.
Gotcha.
I grew up on a farm.
Wow. Okay.
So I was very much involved in, a number of school sports. I played netball, but I also too rode horses for many years. But I've got two sons. They are 20 years old and 17 years old. And sport has been so important in their lives. One of them had a little stint playing football.
Gotcha.
But both of them have been avid basketballers.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I just see that connection with their friends. It keeps kids busy.
Sure.
It keeps them active. But also too, my eldest played rep basketball for a number of years, and I actually miss the times when, on Friday nights after a full week's work, we'd go and we'd drive up 2 hours away so he could play a game.
Fair, yeah.
And I think it was that time of being in the car together, particularly on the way home from the game.
Depending on how the game went, right?
Depending on how the game went. But it gave us a chance to really connect and have those conversations.
Sure.
Yeah.
For you, what do you think the importance of, grassroots clubs like Newport is to a local community, and what do you think their kind of effect is on said communities?
Look, when you see local sport occurring and you see all of the community come together, so you see mums, dads, you see aunties and uncles, you see grandparents come to actually see the kids play. And you don't have anything really quite like that.
Yeah.
And to be able to have that melting pot, particularly when, you've got a canteen or you put on sort of social days and things like that, I think it teaches kids what's important about being connected to your community. And it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the key ways that you think the state government is kind of facilitating these kind of sport? You mentioned how you were able to get such a large amount for the club to develop it, but what are some of the other ways that the government's been able to kind of assist, and you specifically have been able to assist clubs like Newport? Well,
look, there's a number of different grants that are always out there at any time, and at the moment we have got the Active Kids Voucher Program. That's just been reopened, and that provides, people can apply to them, and I'd encourage anyone to get on board and apply for them right now, because they do run out. But they're $200 vouchers, and it covers things like buying a uniform, buying the equipment for the registration fees, all those sorts of things, and they're available for people who have got a healthcare card or a concession card.
Wow. Okay.
So that's one of the ways that we're helping. The other day, though, we were successful in some grants for people that that they go out there and they teach kids what it's like to participate in sport if you've got a disability.
Wow, okay. So really important. I mean, super
Really,
important work.
that inclusivity is so important. And what they do is they actually buy wheelchairs,
Wow, okay.
go into schools and put kids into wheelchairs and then teach them how to manoeuvre around and what actual sport would be like.
Wow.
Which is a really cool idea,
incredible.
isn't it?
Absolutely. That's...
So, you know, those sorts of things. And there's the grants programs that are always available. What normally happens, and I've got to say, it is terrific having Councillor Rayanne Harley now on council and representing this area. And she is such a passionate advocate for Newport Storm. So because the land where people are training, the club room, the works that are going on, that's actually a council asset. So we need state government and the council to be working hand in glove to be able to deliver better and more improved facilities for Newport Storm.
So obviously one of the issues with clubs at this level can be, funding, and it's one of the biggest challenges that they face. What are your kind of thoughts on, how you can navigate some of those challenges for clubs at this level?
Look, Zane, 100% correct. And, as we all know, whether it's running our household budget or running a state budget or a council budget, there's always competing demands. What became apparent to me, though, last year was that local government, Hobsons Bay City Council, hadn't really got an advocacy strategy or hadn't mapped out the needs of the different soccer clubs across the whole municipality. So I held a forum where I got all the different clubs together because they're all at different sort of stages. And so you've got your real grassroots community sports like Newport Storm through to, Altona Magic. But I said, but the thing is too, that all of the different facilities were at different levels. So I said, okay, we got together one evening, all the clubs and me, and we basically whiteboarded where all the different stages that the clubs were at. And we developed the Hobsons Bay Football Forum advocacy document, which I then gave to every single new councillor that got in, and also to the council officers, because this actually is doing their work for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was terrific to have Football Victoria involved in this as well.
Of course.
They are passionate, like
100%.
Josephine, oh my goodness, she's amazing. She'd be a great one to get onto your podcast, actually. But this provides that document to council that says, here's where the growth is occurring, here's the strategy of the clubs, but here's too a bit of the condition of, the facilities and where you should think about investing there next. So I think that was a really powerful thing to do. But it also helped inform me so that when I did put in my budget bid to get funding for this club,
for the club,
I had a body of evidence to back it up.
Because, for you, it's so difficult to compete. Like, you've got so many different, even in this area specifically, obviously you've got Altona Magic, then you've got Newport, and there's always kind of different, every club wants the best and the best pitch, the best facilities, the best locker room. So for you, how do you kind of navigate between having to balance that whole situation?
Well, I think that's why it was really important to document this, because there's clubs that have got brand new facilities, like down at Kim Reserve. It's beautiful. Or out on Karook Creek Road. That's gorgeous new facility. But to sort of work with council and work in partnership with council to be able to say, well, how do we work through that list of making sure that then every club gets upgraded?
Absolutely.
And I think too, people are really patient. Clubs are really, really patient if they can see where they are in in that pipeline of investment, because they can then right-size their club and manage what they've got. If they go, okay, in a couple of years' time we're going to get an upgrade, or in 5 years' time, to be able to step that out.
There's a long-term plan, right, and some vision.
And it really helps because community sport is volunteer-run.
Absolutely.
And volunteering, I think, is one of the most rewarding things that
100%.
people can do.
100%.
So to be able to say, thank you very much, because actually next week is National Volunteers Week. To be able to say thank you to everyone who volunteers is a wonderful thing to be able to do.
I mean, we've had Ziggy, the club president, on before, who spoke about, the first few years that the club was run, it was all on the back of volunteers, because they really are, for a club like this, they're the backbone of kind of making sure everything runs, and like those kind of secret figures pretty much who do everything.
Absolutely, and you don't get a more tireless worker than Ziggy.
100%. No. I think one thing that is probably a kind of good area to discuss is, obviously, this year the club has a senior team, but for the past years it's been a junior program.
Yep.
And you mentioned for your own kids how important sport was, but how do you think a club like this can play a role in kind of the positive upbringing of the next generation, and how important do you think playing in a sports team and being in that environment with discipline and rules and camaraderie and competition is for the next generation?
Well, first and foremost, I understand that the senior team has not been beaten yet.
Oh yeah. If some of those players are watching, it's gone around that team is unbeaten so far. Yes.
So touch wood, may that continue
for the rest of the season. 100%.
Yeah, but I think what is important is young people need positive role models.
Sure.
And positive role models and positive behaviours. And what they see through team sport is working together, working collectively, being kind and compassionate, and actually supporting their teammates as well. And also too, not talking about the seniors team, it doesn't do kids any harm to learn to
100%,
lose gracefully as well.
100%. Yeah. Seniors disregard that, but
But
100%.
For kids,
it's part of development, right? It's a part of growing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, those sorts of things, I think that, is really important to be able to teach kids, how we interact as a society and how we're respectful and we're kind and we work as a team.
Sure, absolutely. Another new thing this season that's come about is the girls team, which the club is really proud of. It's the first year that we've had. I think now we've got two girls squads, U7 and U9s. What is your kind of position on football teams and sport teams in general, having both boys and girls teams and getting girls involved into sports that they might not be because of the area, for example?
I think it's amazing the work that the club has done to be able to get, it's two girls teams now this year, isn't it?
We've got a U7, I believe a U7s and a U9s team, yeah.
So that's awesome. And I know that, girls, given the opportunity, really want to participate 100%. In sport. And so this club has worked so incredibly hard to overcome a number of barriers to be able to get those girls' teams up and running. And they really deserve a huge shout out and a huge congratulations for being able to do that. At a state government level, we've got a number of grant programs that actually support female participation. And creating, whether it's female-friendly facilities or things like things like that, or grants just to help girls participate more, because we know the value of the social cohesion, that sort of coming together as a community, which is what I love about community sport.
And it's bringing kids together, because now you've got a bunch of the boys who've got like the U12s and stuff, and they've got their younger sisters playing now, and you see them like walking home after training together, and it's beautiful to kind of see that cohesion and so many new faces, and obviously the getting more female coaches involved, which has been massive for the club. It's wonderful to see that kind of growth, and I think it's really important moving forward that we can kind of keep fostering that.
Absolutely. And look, there's a number of strategies that the club will need to adopt, because there's sort of peaks in years where girls do drop out of community sport. And so going into that sort of stuff with your eyes wide open is really important.
Absolutely. So moving forward, obviously, what do you kind of see as your long-term vision for grassroots sport in Victoria, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave for?
Well, I'd like to see community sport grow and be such a vibrant way that kids can participate. Because, as I said, I think it teaches kids such incredible values. It creates that social cohesion, and it brings people together in respectful, sensible, healthy, active ways. Absolutely. And so to be able to work with clubs like Newport Storm is really an honour for me.
Wow. I mean, the work you've done for the club is incredible, and obviously it's going to be something that's going to be remembered for a club like this because you've been such an important figure for the community and for kind of grassroots sport at all levels.
Oh, that's very kind. That's very kind. But, you know, it's incumbent on me to... I take my job so seriously to be able to get out. And it actually doesn't matter what sporting code it is.
Sure.
Whether it's, you know, it's football here or it's cricket somewhere else or it's basketball or whatever.
Yeah.
No matter... I think people of all ages and all abilities have got that ability to be able to connect and bond and enjoy sport and being active and healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, let's do... We've got all the serious stuff out
Okay.
there. Let's get to know you a little bit better and have a bit of fun. We've got a couple rapid fire questions prepared for you. So just first thing that comes into your head.
Okay.
Okay, favorite sport?
Basketball.
Okay, favorite sport team?
Western Bulldogs.
Okay, basketball team?
Where my kids played, Westgate.
Okay, favorite restaurant in Melbourne?
You know where it also does a really good feed? The AIC Cafe.
Okay, done.
They
They
do-
will like to hear that.
They do an awesome breakfast.
All right, favorite place to visit?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
That's
I love to travel.
yeah.
And last Christmas, my eldest son went backpacking through Southeast Asia. And for the first time, I actually went to Thailand. I really enjoyed that. I love Japan. He is talking about going to travel. He wants to go through the Middle East.
Wow. Okay.
I know. He wants to go to Lebanon.
Gotcha.
He wants to go to Egypt. And I think maybe Mum could come along.
Go along with him, 100%. Turn that into a trip. Okay. We'll take that as an answer. We'll take that.
Okay.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee. How do you take your coffee?
Black.
No sugar, nothing, just straight.
yeah.
Okay. Favorite cafe?
Favorite cafe? Ooh.
Sunday morning, where are you having your coffee?
There's a couple. Well, I'll make a coffee at home.
Okay.
But we're spoilt for choice.
Yeah, in this area, 100%.
We are absolutely spoilt for choice. But I did go recently down on Mason, and you know, look, all the other cafe owners, please don't take this as a slight. But I did recently have a great coffee down on Mason Street.
Sure.
At what was it called? 28, I think it's called. Right.
Advertising right there, guys. Put that on social media. It's advertising right there.
And it was an excellent coffee.
All right, done. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Cats. Cricket or tennis?
Tennis.
Favorite Australian athlete?
Bob Murphy.
Wow. Okay. And with that, I think we've taken up enough of your time with this interview. But thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to chat to you, and hopefully for the audience getting to know you. Where can, I guess, if anyone wants to get involved or kind of work with anything you've said, where could you be reached or contacted?
So the easiest way is to is to email me, which is melissa.horne@parliament.vic.gov.au, and you can Google me.
Done. All right, and obviously we spoke about the seniors. Guys, we've got another game on Saturday at home. Come down to the reserve if you can't make it. Check out the highlights. What do you think the score's going to be?
Oh, I think they'll win.
Of course, but give us a prediction.
Maybe up by 3.
3-0. All right, guys, you heard it here. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Good luck.
Thank you. See you guys.